Okay, hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Reef Radio. We are actually, I was writing down a list of topics to talk about. That way I could stay on track. Hold on. To be honest, I really don't have much to talk about besides um give me a minute. Actually, I just started the stream and I'm already off track. But how's everybody's week been? I hope that it's been chill so far. So far, I'm having a good week because my school money came in. So I'm a lot less broke than how I've been. And I think that is a blessing. But today, as you can see on the stream title, I am going to be doing line work and then I keep coughing. So I'm a be back and get some medicine real quick before we get started. I don't know why when I start the stream, I start coughing a bunch today. To be honest, I wasn't feeling all that well earlier, but it's not too bad. So I'm gonna still stream. I'll be back. Okay. Just took some cough medicine and I got some water. So we finna get to it. Let's see. Let's start with pretty much I'm gonna hope to complete the line work of 3 different projects and see how it goes from there. Starting with this album cover for Kirby Kurt Ross. For those who don't know, actually, let's see if I could shout out. I think it's Curve So Crazy. Ah, hold on. I can't even find the fucking channel. Damn it, Curb. What the fuck is your what the fuck is your Twitch? Me, when I'm trying to be nice to my friend and link their damn oh, it's Kirby K. Ross. Okay. That's what happens when you got folks with multiple names. This is why I'm trying to unify everything. I'm trying to be responsible, guys. It's just motherfuckers are making it hard. At some point, I do need to make a shout out button because it's the fact that I got a stream deck. But no, this is for Kirby K. Ross, also known as Curb So Crazy. Because we actually made a song with each other. And I just need to do the art for the I just need to do the art so we can actually do the release. So hopefully I'll get this done sometime this week. All things willing. Okay. No, for those who don't know, Kirby K. Ross is a rapper and a music producer, but that's not all the content that he does. see. I guess the head. Okay. Mainly do music and do rapping and music production, but also plays games and stuff on stream. So if you want to see wacky games, usually vintage stuff like Mario and Tamagotchi Life, but also hear some really good beats, then you go to Curb Stream. But let's see. Speaking of and then aside from just this, right? I'm going to do the line work for that PFP that I also worked on last stream. Since I'll be on a roll. And then I'll be showing y'all my progress for my character sheet because I need to work on that. Because, like, as I've said, I am in the process. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'll keep saying it because I like to update people. I am in the process of doing a revamp because I can't necessarily say a rebrand, right? My aesthetic wasn't really pinned down to begin with, but now I'm trying to be more solid about things. So I'll be making cute things. And then something else that I want to talk about. Speaking of numerous art projects, one art project that I've been working on recently is Dracula for school. For those who don't know, I'm an illustration major who's getting a minor in digital arts. And currently, I'm taking an advanced illustration class. And pretty much, we were given a project for the whole semester with regular checkpoints with different types of art throughout. And pretty much, my project, since I decided to focus on concept art this semester, is to take a public domain story and do a reimagining of it. So I decided to do Dracula because for those who don't know me or aren't familiar with all of my strange ramblings on Twitter, I really love Dracula. I grew up watching vampire movies because of my vampire loving mom. Because everybody in my house likes horror in one way or another. And everybody in my house likes horror in one way or another. And my mom's of the gothic horror and supernatural horror variety. So like she grew up reading the likes of Stephen King and Anne Rice. We watched Twilight together and Vampire Diaries and Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter and Blade and Underworld Evolution or just Underworld in general and stuff like that. And it's really cool. And with that came a love of Dracula because why do I like Dracula personally, like as a legend and stuff? Part of it was because of my love of Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter, because apparently it was heavily inspired by that. Like it was a book first before it became a movie, but I watched the movie first. And I thought that what's the name of the actor who played as Henry Sturgis? Let me look him up real quick. Played by Dominic Cooper. I thought Dominic Cooper was fine as hell, actually. So there's that. And I don't know, I just like I like historical fiction because I grew up reading, well, not but I grew up reading the likes of Magic Tree House books and stuff, and seeing extraordinary humans do all kinds of like crazy shit to try to combat the undead and like protect their communities from these ancient evils. I thought that shit was really cool. I was like, give me just a moment. I forgot to do the live notification on Blue Sky. Silly me. I'm such a silly goose, guys. Copy. Paste. And I'll be streaming for about 3 hours. Okay. So I mainly like vampires sometimes because of like historical fiction, because the Dracula book is written as like a historical account, because it's a collection of like diary entries and letters and newspaper clippings that detail some of the weird shit that was going on while Dracula was like attacking London. But how I'm doing this reimagining, right, is to address the racism of the original, because like the original Dracula is racist as hell, actually. Um that's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about for some reason, and I don't know why, because I don't think it should be an uncomfortable conversation to have, especially when vampires as like a genre of fiction is rife with it. Like so much American vampire fiction, for example, and I partially blame Anne Rice, has like the romanticized Confederate vampire. And the reason why I blame Anne Rice was because like her books were like Gone with the Wind, but for goths, right? Because like in Interview with the Vampire, Lewis is a slave owner who was like farming indigo. So he's like this distinguished Southern gentleman who gets corrupted by the local Frenchmen, and it deals with the dilemmas of that. So I don't know. It shouldn't be uncomfortable since everybody and their mom keep putting Confederate vampires in their shit all the time. But whatever. The reason why I say that Dracula was racist, and this has been something that's been commentated on for like a long ass time, was that Bram Stoker was anti-immigrant. It was written during a time when Jewish and Romani people were visiting, well, not visiting, but immigrating to Western Europe to flee persecution that was going on in Eastern Europe. And a lot of Western Europeans were like, oh my God, these Jewish and Romani people are going to ruin our ways of life and stuff. And Bram Stoker is just like, he's like using the vampire as a metaphor for the foreign threat that's going to ruin everything. And only through Western advancements can we save ourselves. So I wanted to like deal with some of that by having Dracula, instead of being like some some great Eastern peril, right? You know, the quote unquote yellow peril, because that also translated to like Russian hate as well. Because, you know, Russia is mostly Asia geographically. Um, I wanted to make Dracula into like some rich asshole who's coming to Britain for the same reasons that he did in the original book, which was um dude is hungry and his people know how to avoid him. So like he visited Britain, he went to Britain because like British people don't know what vampires are. So they can't avoid him like his people do because they all know what he is. But he's attacking immigrants and undesirables like prostitutes and orphans in Britain because nobody cares about them. So like nobody would suspect there's a problem until it's like too late and shit. So I made Jonathan Chinese. For those who don't know, because oftentimes when it comes to Dracula, people mostly focus on Dracula and Mina. And I think it's mostly because of like the 1992 adaptation, which rewrote Dracula to be a romance story. Because to be honest, you can't really do a Dracula adaptation accurately without being racist. So like to avoid that, they just turn it into like a forbidden love story or some shit. Um, but pretty much people tend to focus on Mina in Dracula because she's one of his victims and he's like very infatuated with her. And she's like the key to defeating him in the story. But like she's not the first person to come in contact with him. Technically, it's Renfield who's like portrayed as his minion or something, or some dude who went crazy from the encounter because he did. That dude did go crazy from the encounter because he couldn't handle it. But the second person to come in contact with him is Jonathan Harker. Jonathan Harker is a solicitor, which is like a lawyer whose job is to handle property. So like they'll be the kind of person to handle who gets what in the will, like process the paperwork and shit. Cause like I said, Dracula is coming to London to to get food because he's hungry. So he buys up property in London in like three different locations. So when he's out here eating people and stuff, he has an alibi for why he's like in the neighborhood at the time. And it just helps him diversify his palate, I guess. But Jonathan goes to Romania to meet with Dracula because his senior at the same firm, Renfield, gets incapacitated. And because nigga went crazy. And he goes to do the paperwork. And pretty much I made Jonathan Chinese because something that's common and is also like portrayed in the book, right? Is that Jonathan has low self-esteem. And I was just thinking of how Asian men in the 18th and 19th centuries, because of like the whole yellow peril thing that was going on at the time, they were heavily emasculated and treated as lesser men. Like if black people are hyper masculinized because of our dark skin and stuff, then Asian people get hyper feminized because of like their shorter stature and their pale skin, even though Asians come in a variety of skin tones, but you know, like colorism and shit, right? And I was thinking of the sort of East versus West dichotomy. And since there is a East versus West dichotomy that's present in the story with that quote unquote Eastern peril shit, um, to address that, have the main character, Jonathan, be from the East, and and have him deal with being emasculated because, like, okay, so Mina Harker is Jonathan's fiance, and the reason why Jonathan went over there, not just to replace his coworker who got incapacitated and needing to finish the job, but because he's about to get married and he's a commoner. And even though Mina grew up an orphan, she grew up around rich people. So he didn't want her to like lose her comfort and stuff getting with him. And even though she loves him and like she knew what he was when she got with him, but like his lack of confidence makes him feel the need to try to compensate through like financial success, which is why he takes on this job. But then he gets kidnapped and Dracula goes to London and he's trying to woo Mina and shit. So like you get kidnapped and tortured, and then your wife is being fucking wooed by this rich nigga while you're captured and stuck in a house. That's very emasculating. And then I also just think of like color imagery, right? Because Dracula is red because that's blood and shit, but and also like in Western culture, it usually means the devil and stuff, but in Eastern culture, it's a color that symbolizes power and good luck. And and then Dracula is like Romanian for son of the dragon. And in Eastern culture, dragons are like powerful and often associated with masculinity. So having Dracula be a red dragon and stuff, that's like a male figure for Jonathan to sort of look up to and be jealous of as well. And then so the goal is to have him like is to have Jonathan come into his own and try to defeat this dragon as a means of like coming into his own form of manhood. Cuz like dude has to has to assimilate really. Whereas Dracula, even though he's an asshole, he's also a foreigner who's like coming to another country, but instead of like assimilating, he doesn't compromise himself. Whenever he pretends to be human and shit, it's just a means to an end. But he's not like letting go of his cultural stuff either. He's not like compromising his culture and whatnot because like in the books, he still sticks out like a sore thumb because he's the quote unquote goofy foreigner and stuff because he's not familiar with Western European customs. And it's just something interesting about that. Where this person that you hate, and rightfully so, because Dracula is a fucking predator, and I'm not gonna shy away from that in this project. He actually needs to die. He is still someone admirable because he's not willing to like shrink himself to succeed, which is funny because the dude is freakishly tall. Like, oh my god. Like he is built like a fucking wall. Like I always wondered why in Hellsing Ultimate, right, which is one of my favorite Dracula, not necessarily adaptations, but like Dracula, I don't know what to call it. Cause in a strange way, it's like a continuation of the book. Cause Hellsing, like in Hellsing Ultimate, it's actually canon. The actual Dracula book is canon, right? Because like it was Van Helsing who instead of killing Dracula, he like puts limitations on him and makes it where he has to serve the family in case there's like a worse monster threat. And you also see Quincy and Mina and them in the flashbacks in the manga, right? But but what am I saying? In Hellsing, the men in there, particularly the monster men, like Anderson, Hans, and Alucard specifically, they're freakishly tall. Like they are built like fucking walls. They gotta they gotta bend down and walk under the windowsill just to get in the fucking door. And it's just like what the fuck were you eating? Like what were they feeding you? And it's just like maybe because they're monsters. But then like even the other monsters aren't built like that. So maybe because they are the monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman, since those are like the big three. So who knows? Like, them motherfuckers huge. And then what else? But yeah, that's pretty much my reimagining of Dracula, how it examines immigrant identity and gender and assimilation and the sort of struggles that manifest between between Jonathan's relationship with that and how Dracula sort of makes him confront those problems so he can come into himself and become a better man. Okay. We're cooking with gas. It's pretty much line art, which is like mm, my favorite step in the drawing process is line art because like I'm cleaning up everything. So all I got to do is just lock in really. It's and because I use vector lines, it's not hard to lock in. Like the sketch process is probably the hardest part because, I'm doing the planning and trying to make sure that everything makes sense. I'm trying to turn straw into gold whenever I'm sketching. But whenever I do line work, I don't have to worry about all of that because like everything is where it needs to be. It's just a matter of cleaning up. And it's just a good feeling to know that I got my shit together, you know? I will say y'all should get into vectors. Not only does it take up less space with your files. Hold on. Not only does it take up less space on your files, because the difference between vectors and rasters, right? Rasters fill in, they make a drawing by they make an image by filling in dots on a grid, whereas vectors do like some funky algorithmic thing to form the image. And that's just better. Like, I don't know the intricacies of it, but that's like the distinction that gets made whenever I look at tutorials. But like, the greatest thing about vectors is that you could go back and edit the line work by using the line work editing tools. Like, you don't have to erase the whole thing. You could just put a tool to it and adjust the line width and shit, which I will do once I finish this hair, right? Because I got to go back and refine it, and it'll look awesome. And then what else? Hmm. Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to piece stuff together. Let's see. Next topic to go over. What else happened this week? Ooh, speaking of Dracula related stuff. Speaking of Dracula related stuff. Um, there's this game that I've been playing for the past year or close to a year called Curse of Strahd. Part of the reason why I've been talking about Dracula more often is because of fucking Basil. So Basil, not the herb, can be best as like a RPG storytelling VTuber. Um, where he either talks about the mechanics of RPGs, and sometime in the future he's going to be doing a project where he'll be solo operating uh a campaign, and it'll be like an interactive experience with the audience. I don't know when exactly he's going to do that, but that's like in the works and he's announced it already, so I'm not like spoiling anything. But when you I'll let y'all know cuz I'll be boosting him cuz I like Basil. He's really cool, and he's been GMing the Cypher session. So Cypher, um if you don't know RPGs like that, I'm gonna just use D&D as a reference because unfortunately that is the most popular and most well-known system. But Cypher is not that. It's a lot more simple, and I think that it allows for a lot more, what's the word, customization and flexibility when it comes to character writing. Pretty much you make a character with a sentence. So your character is an adjective, noun, that verbs. And so like my character, for example, starts off as a sharp-eyed sniper who finds the flaw in all things. So like she's an assassin who fights with a bolt action rifle and hold on. Okay. There was like a bot in the chat. But pretty much she uses a bolt action rifle. Ugh. This is one of the few problems that come with like doing a doing vector lines. Like whenever you try to close the line, it gets like really weird, and it's like, girl, stop, please. No, I'll take this. Because when it's zoomed out, you won't see it. Like I keep telling myself, but Jesus will know. But I need to stop putting so much pressure on myself, and I feel like Jesus wouldn't care. It'll be fine. But what was I thinking about? Um, so my character, her name is Alia. She's a sharp-eyed sniper who finds the flaw in all things. So it's like she fights with a bolt action rifle, and she's really good at like stealth and investigation. I need to have this as the back, actually. Bottom. Okay, side bangs, bottom. Trying to think. Well, that's pretty much it. And pretty much her backstory was she wanted to stop being an assassin because she grew to resent the organization that she worked for. Um, the guild that she's a part of is called the Green Cloaks, and they're called that because they used to be a guerrilla fighting force that protected villages from like shitty soldiers during the war. So they were sort of like the merry men, right? How during the crusades and shit, the sheriff of Nottingham was being a dick. It was over, and Prince John was like overtaxing and stuff, and the soldiers were taking advantage of the people. So like the Green Cloaks was made as an organization to like protect townspeople from that kind of exploitation, and they would shoot the shit out of people. But then they ended up like over time they ended up becoming a very prominent assassins guild, and they sort of operate as like a reverse Pinkertons. For those who don't know, Pinkertons was like a private investigation firm that I think existed as like first they were an anti-terrorist organization during like the Wild West, because with the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and shit. Put the shit in the wrong fucking layer and nobody told me. But they were an anti-terrorist firm that was mainly formed to like protect from attempts like what happened with Abe Lincoln after the Civil War, right? And but then they ended up becoming a union busting company, so everybody hates them. And the most recent example of them being on their bullshit is what happened with Wizards of the Coast, which is the company that owns D&D, I think. And I think Magic the Gathering cards as well. But how somebody was leaking cards for the game. So Wizards ended up fucking Wizards ended up hiring Pinkertons to like jump this dude. So that's why we're out here shitting on D&D, because like it's really become like, I don't like how convoluted D&D is as a system. However, the problem morally is like the links they'll go to 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 like protect their IP and shit, and I find that very gross. Like, do better. They'll be hiring union busters to jump people over some fucking leak content. You could have just done a cease and desist or sued somebody. Although I don't like the suing thing, because like that person is broke. Like, don't be suing people who are like way below your bracket. But whatever. Cypher isn't convoluted, and the character customization goes crazy, and Basil is addicted to buying fucking Kickstarters for like lore books that go with the game. Like, Basil and I are practically twins because like, I'm addicted to buying art books, and I actually need to buy a couple of art books now that I have some money, but I need to like be responsible, because you know, poverty habits. You grow up not having certain things, and then as soon as you have money to get those things, you start going buck wild. I have to have discipline, because yes, I'm less broke than how I used to be. I still need to be careful. We're practically close to a depression, if not in it, right? But like, I really want to get the K-pop Demon Hunters art book. I want to get the other Witch Hat Atelier art book, and I need the Castlevania art book actually, because I have a fucking problem. Like, I don't know. I like knowing about the art direction and shit that goes behind making books and games and stuff, because I like art and I like to know how people do things and what be going on through folks' minds whenever they make things. Plus, it helps me feel my ideas for making art. So I think that's like important information to have, especially with knowing the workflow and stuff, since I want to do concept art and character design. You know, that shit is cool to me. And Basil, because he's like, he does RPG storytelling, having access to his art books. Well, his having his art books and stuff. That's important for him to like experiment with mechanics and also have plenty of things to pull from. For example, with my character Alia, like, first we had a mini campaign to get started with so we could all get to know each other and know how to work together. And it's like me and five other people. And pretty much her that mini campaign was her last job from her story, right? And then we end up going into Curse of Strahd, which comes back to Draculatism, right? Which comes back to Draculatism. So Curse of Strahd is a D&D campaign, but it could be converted to other RPG systems because it's so fucking popular, right? And I understand, because the premise is funny as hell. It's like, what if Dracula couldn't get no pussy and he made it everybody else's problem? Like, Strahd is this lord who was already dealing with a bunch of wars and shit as soon as he became like a teenager, because his parents were like mismanaging shit, so he had to like do a lot of cleanup, and there were monster wars and shit going on. but he got good at it and he was a really good leader who ended up fixing the monster problem. But like near the tail end of the wars, he and his little brother end up falling in love with this woman named Tatiana who lives in a nearby who lives in like a small nearby village that he ended up taking over during those wars and shit, and he like consolidated a lot of the land that was taken from his enemies who was on some bullshit. But like Strahd and his little brother Sergey end up falling in love with this woman named Tatiana. But Tatiana ends up choosing Sergey, and there's like this feeling of bitterness, right? Because like I said, Strahd was fighting in wars and shit and doing cleanup around Barovia, and he like dedicated himself towards improving the land. But he's old as hell. He's not even all that old. He's like in his 30s, like maybe late 30s, while Sergey and Tatiana are in their early to mid 20s, right? But Strahd is just like, I'm too old, and my life has pretty much been spent cleaning up other people's messes, and I just want to be happy and stuff. And out of that bitterness, he ends up killing his brother on his wedding day. So it's just the fact that it wasn't like I choose you and Strahd snaps. Like he has a delayed response. And he waits till his brother gets married to like jump him and punches a hole in his chest. And then he's like, Tatiana, if you don't marry me, then I'm gonna curse the world to not have sunshine anymore. And she's like, I bet. And she jumps off a cliff because nigga, you not finna put me into a corner. Like this story is literally what if Dracula couldn't get no pussy and made it everybody's problem. But the thing with Tatiana, even though she jumped off a cliff, she ends up reincarnating because the land doesn't like him either. So it's like it's trying to summon heroes with the ability to beat his ass. And that's where my party comes in. One of the party members, her name is Petra, and she's like a little elf magical girl. And she's like a little elf magical girl. She's the current vessel of Tatiana's spirit. And because we all worked with each other before, we all end up getting summoned to like fix the problem. Let me save. Okay. Body. Nick. Did I even give Curb nails? I'll give him nails. I like how I said, I'm gonna work on multiple works tonight. Oh, my ass. It'll probably take me this whole stream to finish the line work for this because of me talking. But we'll see. Right. Give me just a minute. I'm focusing on the hand, and hands are difficult. When I finish the hands, I'll start talking again unless somebody types something and I'll respond. We love you, hands. Ugh. Let me save. Then edit the line thickness. Okay. Save. Then I'm almost done with curb. Close. I just gotta do the shirt, like the sweater, and the jacket. Don't you love it when you're trying to draw a damn line and you can't quite go the distance? What else should I talk about? I've kind of been avoiding the topic, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. Um, ugh. Ooh, actually, we'll say the topic for after the break. Oh, thanks for the posture check, BB. How's it going, Zivia? Damn, my body's being weird. It's not even doing the announcement right. I need it. It's okay. I feel like my next big goal, besides like the graphics that I get, I should just fix the damn mix it up into other bots that I use. Bored as fuck, been hopping streams. Yeah. I've mainly been talking to myself, which I don't mind. Thank you for the hydrate. Because, like, I pretty much monologue inside of my head anyway. Hold on. I'm stretching. Ugh. Have to make sure you're not dry. I'm never dry. There's another joke that can be made about that, but I'm not going to make it this time. Also, how's my sound balance going? Like, I think I fixed it. I even tested it out in recording a couple of times. I personally think my settings are good, but I don't know how it sounds from an audience perspective. Yay! So you can hear me clearly this time. My music isn't overwhelming. Isn't that wonderful? I've been slowly but surely fixing my damn settings. Yay! So the next thing is to fix like bots and commands. And I should make a bunch of shout out commands of like people that I regularly interact with. That's like my next goal. But what was I talking about? So earlier in the stream, I used Siri for that. Yeah, cause like mix it up. It's a really good system, at least to me. However, like I know it's not available to everyone because it does take stuff to run on your computer. They are making a browser version, but I don't know if it's available yet. Like I think it was only in testing. I'll have to look at announcements again. But I like that bot because it's like the everything bot. So it streamlines things a lot better. I should look into Seribot though and see what that does. Pretty much the goal for this first part of stream is to finish Curb and then I'll take a short break and maybe order some food. Although I still don't know what I'm gonna order. Not gonna lie. Maybe Taco Bell? So after I finish Curb, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. Okay. Go pee. Go piss, girl. I know. I'm so happy about Paida. Like her music is in an anime now. Okay, let's do coat. Ooh, what's the name of the anime that she's in? It's this one about black girls and roller skates. I'm glad to see a lot of different black animators making stuff because, like, when people think of indie animation, people think of like the bigger ones, like like shit. I'm trying to think. Like, has been and the several glitch productions, but mainly the Amazing Digital Circus and stuff. And like indie animation at large is, at least the faces of it tend to be very white or white coated if they're like non-human. So it's nice to see a lot more original black. It's like something in roses. What's the name of that damn? Is it Wheels and Roses that she's in? Yeah, it's called Wheels and Roses, and it's like a magical girl show about a roller derby group. So let's see. Just for tonight, for tonight. I gotta stop singing while I draw because then I get distracted. At some point, I do want to organize a karaoke stream since I like to draw and sing to sort of pass the time. Would y'all be into that? Would y'all be into me struggling to hit certain notes if figure out a way to set it up? I want to do it when I like give myself a new outfit toggle because I don't know. I think like having an outfit specifically for singing and stuff since I like outfits so badly and I barely use my outfit toggles. Um, I think it would be cool. It's fine. It's fine. It'll work out. Actually, I'll just go ahead and talk about it because I was like, oh, maybe I should save this till after the break. Nah, I got nothing to talk about now, so I'll go ahead and fill y'all in. So for those of y'all who are not on Twitter, this week has actually been bananas. Bananas. Um, because a major black VTuber, or at least should I call her major? Like she's pretty popular and stuff. Her name is Milky Calcubus because like she's a cow succubus and stuff, and she recently got exposed for catering to lolly soda spaces and stuff. Despite being very openly against them on main, she ended up making an alt account. And I'll link the Google Doc and stuff so that people can stay informed. Like I'll link the post with the Google Doc because I think that's important information. Um and even though I don't often talk about like my stances on stream, at least not every single stance, like I talk about a lot of shit on stream. Like my stream revolves around talking about media and its relations with society and how it can communicate different ideas and even its effects on society, both positive and negative. Because whenever people talk about fiction affecting reality and stuff, right, it's not exclusive to just the bad stuff. A lot of us wouldn't be artists if it wasn't for us growing up being inspired by the stuff that we watched when we were kids, or going to like a free gallery or something, or going to an event at a library and whatnot, because those were my influences when it comes to art. Also, hey Zivia, I'm talking about the incident because I still think it's funny what happened. It's the fact that I was featured on somebody else's stream. And I don't know, that tickled me because that's never happened before, unless it was like, those VTuber showcases where it's like, send in your design, guys. Send in your design, guys. I should do a stream like that where people send in their designs because I've done it before. I just haven't done it in like eons, where it's like a design critique stream. Because I like to do those. Because I like doing character design and stuff. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't have. Don't you have someone? I think that's how it goes. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't have. And that you have someone. I think. I don't know how the whole song goes. I just be jamming. But no. Um, but what was I talking about again? Often on this page I talk about the effects of media, both positive and negative, and how that relates to history and how that relates to societal conditions and whatnot. There's often a phrase that's used when talking about art, such as all art is political. And a lot of people get confused about that phrase because people assume, oh, does that mean that you think that all art has a political agenda? And it's just like, no, we're saying that art doesn't exist in a vacuum. And art is a product of the social conditions that it was made in. Because even if you're not trying to communicate something directly, you could be communicating certain cultural attitudes and whatnot when you make it directly or indirectly, right? Okay. So let me clean up this line work. I still need to make the hair a lot thicker. I need to make a couple of stuff a lot thicker, actually. But how was your bathroom break? Actually, that's a strange thing to ask. I'm sorry. For those who don't know, Zivia and I are partners. So sometimes we say out of pocket shit to each other. And by sometimes we say out of pocket shit, is more so me saying out of pocket shit to Zivia, in all honesty. But she can take it. It was okay, I guess. 6. As long as you had a good time, BB. Okay. Look at how beautiful this is. I did that. Now, let's see if I remember that one thing that I learned how to do. Delete the ruler. Let me delete the ruler. Oh my god. So I gotta rasterize it and then convert brightness to opacity and then convert layer to vector and then, and even though it's a little bit pixelated, and Jesus will know, it's fine. Okay, but what was I talking about again? On my stream, I talk about media and its relationship to society and history because I like how things work and I like knowing the effects that art can have on others and even the effects that life can have on art because your stuff doesn't exist in a vacuum and the conditions that your work is made in determines the kind of art that you make more often than not, right? Is this the fucking sweater that I need to delete? Okay. And recently on Twitter, when a major VTuber was exposed for being a lolicon, I broke down like the reasons why people can be uncomfortable with that and why people may see that as a danger. Because the thing is, a lot of people don't like to examine the history of things. And it ranges, right? Not everybody is into media as much as I am. So not everybody is going to be like a huge history buff and figure out every intricacy of it. But like usually whenever I dislike something, I try to look shit up so I can hate on it more accurately. And from what I learned, the first Lolita magazines in Japan had real children in it because this was like during the 60s and 70s where there were starting to be more regulations put on using children in certain types of media materials. And it was a huge problem back then, both in the US and in Japan, because, there was that whole UN debate over how children should be depicted in media. And Japan and the US were like two of the only countries that voted no against certain restrictions internationally. So that's something else to keep in mind. And because I talked about the nuances, well, not even the nuances, because to me, I don't think there could really be a nuanced conversation about depiction when it comes to children. Um, because arguments like it's just fiction doesn't cut it for me because art is often representational. It's not the fiction that's appealing. It's the fact that it's children that's appealing. and I'm very strict about that, right? So I got yelled at, and a bunch of people tried jumping me in my chat, but luckily my followers, including Zivia, stood up for me, which is nice because I don't like being the only one standing when it comes to certain things. I'm known for being a takes kind of person, and having that kind of reputation could be annoying because people come for your takes, but then they don't stand with you when it comes to important issues. Or despite always asking for your opinion, there's that sense of disappointment when you don't say the opinion that they want at the moment, right? But it's fine. And I ended up being featured in somebody's stream who was like reacting to my tweets and saying all kinds of bullshit. And personally, I didn't like that because my thing is if you're going to feature me in one of your works, let me know because I like to give people credit and to promote people for giving me free promo. And I think that people should be direct whenever they have a problem with me. And if they can't engage with me, then just stop trying to engage. I feel like the conversation is over, right? But one thing that took me off about part of it was the sort of confusion or even downright denial that we live in a country that has contempt for children, which I think is strange because, the biggest news event going on in the US right now, besides like the bombing in Iran and the complicitness in Israel's bullshit, is literally the Epstein files, which is like the biggest trafficking event in history. And one thing to know about Epstein was that he was regularly distributing lolicon content, which is why I'm the way that I am when it comes to that kind of media. Because it's funny how people say that it's just fiction, but then some of the worst people always ends up in possession of it and always ends up using it for nefarious means. Let's use some pattern recognition. But one thing for sure is if anybody has a problem with the stance, you can go ahead and leave. It will not be a loss. Because as what I've been doing for most of this stream, I've been talking to myself. And I will continue to do so. And certain things I'm not going to be arguing with some of y'all about, even if you're a friend. So it's whatever. But with that, we're gonna save this. I'm glad that I made it this far. And then we're gonna take a 5-minute break so I could order Taco Bell. And then we're gonna get back on this and work online work for me. Because this is about me and Curb in this thing. So we're gonna leave for about 5 minutes. And I'm gonna do an ad break. So I'll be back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Who's still here? I'm making a progress post, right? Because it's just like, I'm still here, guys. I'm still trying. Wait. Hold on. What do you mean, peak? Oh, yeah, you're still here, Zivia. What's good? I ordered my Taco Bell because that's what I was craving. Like, I don't know. It's almost been back to back, week to week when it comes to eating Mexican food. However, I like food. I I don't know. Maybe it's because my mom, when she was pregnant with me, she was hanging around a lot of Hispanic folks doing pit cross because I really don't know what to do with myself. That's fine. As long as you're having a decent time and just rest your mind instead of what was it? Instead of resting your mind, it's open your mind. Remember when Rick and Morty used to be relevant? There was like this one game that was based off of Rick and Morty, and it's shutting down. It's shutting down because like Rick and Morty isn't as popular as it used to be. I think because it kind of jumped the shark, and the creator was like really gross. Because like they ended up changing the creator, and they built a toxic fan base even before that. I find relevant in this context. I guess, when's the last time you've seen somebody talk about Rick and Morty in any capacity lately? Because it was like up there with Bob's Burgers and junk. Like, you don't even see adult cartoon Twitter talk about new releases. Hell, I can't even remember. I don't even know if there are any like recent new releases. Actually, like I definitely know the show isn't canceled, but it's just like it's not pumping. It's not pumping as much as it used to. Earlier, actually, because it popped up in a Jackbox trivia question. Yeah, but I feel like that doesn't. Does that really count when it's Jackbox? Because these things are already like pre-written. And was the answer okay? Then I stand corrected. Maybe I should humble myself. Okay, let's lock in. Maybe I got too confident. Let's see. Because it was, what show was Dan Harmon co-creator of? Gotcha. Let's see. Connect. Ears. I like how both me and Curb got some unconventional ass ears. And felt pain because someone in the stream said they knew none of the other answers except R and M. Damn. Wait, what other shows was he co-creators of? Did he also work on Gravity Falls? Or was he just a guest? Like, I know it's Alex Hirsch creation, right? But I think he also worked on there. Or at least he does voice acting, right? Because I know he's Lemon Grab. Oh, they were all Adult Swim shows. What other ones? Was it also Solar Opposites or was it? Because I keep forgetting. There was a creator who got kicked off of Rick and Morty because like he would be coming to work drunk and stuff. Like his conduct was very shit, and he was just overall difficult to work with. So they had to like hire new voice actors and stuff to play as the character. Other answers were Space Ghost, Aqua Teen, and Venture Bros. You know, I need to get into Venture Bros because you know about those OCs that I made and how they're very Venture Bros coded. But also, like, I need Venture Bros to be renewed. I need Venture Bros and Moral Oral to be renewed because I don't know. Cartoon Network is going to shit, and they're gonna cancel Smiling Friends. So it's just like you might as well finish your other major projects because they were classics and they made y'all what you are today. Shit, I at least know all three. I don't know about Space Ghost. I never watched that nor heard the name. Yeah, I never even heard the name, so that's different. It's the talk show that had a dude in a black collar with a white suit and yellow cape. Yeah, I still don't know. It's fine. The world will keep turning. Like Adult Swim shows that I knew, right? Adult Swim shows that I knew. I remember when King of the Hill was on there and Family Guy. I knew about Metalocalypse and Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Squidbillies and what else? Your reality. What else? I knew about Super Jail. I knew about Moral Oral. Okay, I'll check your DM. Oh, was that the one where it had like Bird Girl and Harvey Birdman? That one? I remember when Black Jesus was on there. Okay, so I do know about it. But no, the canceling of Smiling Friends pisses me off. Not necessarily because like Smiling Friends is my absolute favorite. Even though I do like some of the humor in there, even though I don't trust the creators because they're like Newgrounds artists, and like a lot of Newgrounds artists be hanging out with folks like Shadman. And it's just like stop trying to paint yourself as a decent person when you be hanging out with niggas like that. I can't trust you. However, like it pisses me off because folks like acting like animation as a field is stable. Like every time I see an animated show get canceled or it ends or some shit, I always feel a sense of dread, and it has nothing to do with like the show ending because like shit like that be happening, but because like immediately I see a bunch of artists that's just like looking for a job, guys. I need to be able to pay rent. And it makes no fucking sense to me. Like, why can't animators just be employees instead of contract workers? So, like, whenever a project ends, you just send them to the next project in the studio so they can have some fucking job security. Like, you should be working on multiple projects at once at different times so that when one project ends, then they could just go to the next one that's in the queue. But apparently, that isn't fucking standard. And I think that sucks. Honestly, I feel like that should have been one of the things that was advocated, that should have been advocated for. Well, actually, I don't even know if the Animation Guild is still on strike or not. Cause like I haven't seen anything about like the union yaoi or anything. Cause why do that when they could save money and cuts? I don't even think it saves money though, because like you still got to deal with HR and rehiring and shit. Like, okay, it saves some money because like if the employee has to start over, you know, the longer you work, then you're obligated to give somebody a raise. But I don't even think that they're obligated to give animators a raise. Like one of the biggest issues with animators as like a job is how we don't get over we I don't even animate is how you know they don't get overtime pay and other stuff. So I assume that they're not obligated to get raises either because you're already denied so much in general. But it's just like the time it takes to retrain people and onboard it, to me that can't be worth it. This is exactly why I don't want to work in the animation industry. And like, you know, sometimes there be discourse between seniors in animation because like some of them are like don't get a job in this field, it's fucking hell, and others is just like you shouldn't be shitting on people's dreams. And my thing is both are right, and the only main solution is that y'all need to fight harder to make this field like y'all need to I don't want to say y'all need to fight harder, but like y'all niggas need to fight harder. um like I don't know, maybe we need to start over when it comes to these union contracts, because something that I hate about union deals is how whenever they do these contracts, one of the clauses is that you can't go on strike. And I don't like that because like these contracts could last for what, a decade? And within that decade, so many things can change and so many things could go to shit. And you can't even protest against it because of the clause against striking. So you can't even do anything about it until the fucking clause is out. I feel like no union should agree to something like that because it limits how you can react to like really shitty administrative changes. But I don't know. But it's just like if you want people to not give up on their dreams and stuff, y'all gotta do something to make animation into an environment for people that can actually see themselves working in it, because like there's no stability, there's no incentives. And it's like why the hell are we here then? But I hope that things get better. Like somebody's gonna figure it out at some fucking point. What the hell is the sketch? Ugh. The references are all over the place. So I need to do body. Ba-da-ba-dum-bum-bum. If I suddenly go quiet, it's because I'm locked in, but let me know if I need to speak up again. Because it's hard out here. So this is right hand. Like, I don't know. I just think that the logistics that come with constantly firing or rehiring people is just too much. And I feel like that's an even bigger waste of money. Like at this point, I feel like niggas are doing it because they're haters and not because it's about money. And people are like, but capitalism is about making money. And I'm like, no, it isn't. When it's late stage, it's no longer about making money. It's about making others lose money. They want workers to be poor so they can stay desperate. Capitalism in like its prime is like we spend money to make money, right? Now it's we waste money to make sure that other people lose because we just hate y'all that much. Honestly, I don't think rehiring is in the question in the current climate. Um, to an extent, like there's still some studios that like are against AI. Of course, there's definitely companies trying to cut corners, like fucking. Ooh, let's talk about BuzzFeed and Chicken Nugget because it's pissed me the fuck off. I hate BuzzFeed. I've hated BuzzFeed for a long time. Like I blamed them for like for certain pop culture issues. Like they're responsible for people get on my nerves about Disney princesses, and they're also partially responsible for like Barbie being basic now because that whole anti Barbie campaign was ran by women with no self esteem, and it pisses me off because it's just like, bro, you didn't have body issues because of Barbie. You had body issues because of your bitch ass mom with an eating disorder. But because people are talking about shit like the doll, there was stuff like the doll experiments where you looked at dolls and how little girls were expected to pick up different dolls and examine their perception based off of the dolls, but it's just like no, the dolls were a tool to expose certain girls' biases that they were already raised with. Hold on. I'm gonna get my food real quick. I'll be back. Give me like 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. I got my food. You may hear crunching in the distance because I'm low key hungry now. And unfortunately, I got crunchy tacos and a cinnamon twist. So I will be loud, actually. Love y'all. I'm finna get an art and ASMR stream with this Taco Bell. Are you still there, Zivia? At least I don't chew with my mouth open. Because I hate shit. To be honest, they low key taste like nothing. But I like the texture. It's a texture thing for me. I'm gonna eat this one taco. Okay. I know. I'm licking the sugar off my fingers and cleaning my hands. I'm hungry, guys. Okay. I'm hungry. Okay. Now we start. What was I talking about before? Oh yeah. So apparently, I just checked Twitter a couple of moments ago, and apparently they're back in talks with the creator of Chicken Nugget. Like they're saying they're having a back and forth, and they deleted her statement. They just recently deleted her statement about leaving. Like for those who don't know, Chicken Nugget is like this web series about these little furry animals, all of them named after food and the little gay adventures that they have. And some of them are like supernatural beings, and some of them are just big nerds, and some of them are like quote unquote everyday people, but they still got like tune logic quirks. And it's been going on for like forever, right? And BuzzFeed apparently was going to start using AI generation with the show. So the creator was just like, I'm fucking leaving. And she publicly announced it because fuck you. But apparently, after she made that announcement today, BuzzFeed walked it back. But now, when I was talking about why I hate BuzzFeed and stuff, I hate how they had like these vehement attacks on on certain girly kid stuff, because this isn't to say that they definitely can't be critiqued. Because Barbie's lack of body diversity is a bit sad, right? And it's sad that Monster High, despite coming from the same company, had a lot more ethnic diversity when it came to like features and hairstyles and stuff. And I feel like even though it was a different creative team in charge of that, I feel like the standard should have been across the board. But I think that a lot of critiques that BuzzFeed, the likes of BuzzFeed and whatnot, had against Barbie was very unfair. Like talking about how Barbie causes body dysmorphia and eating disorders because of how unrealistically she's shaped. That's simply not true. There's been too many studies about how girls are more likely to develop low self esteem from like photoshopped images because it's altered imagery of like real images. It's like the uncanny valley thing. When something is clearly fake, they're not going to feel a certain type of way about it, or at least you're not as likely to feel a certain type of way about it. But when it's like altered pictures of real people, then you start thinking that that's like a real obtainable body. And when that's treated as the standard and you can achieve that, then you start feeling some type of way, right? Barbie isn't the reason why little girls have eating disorder. It's mostly fashion magazines and advertisements, right? But and then the other thing was when they would shit on Disney princesses, like BuzzFeed, along with like Tumblr and shit, because it started on Tumblr, and then because BuzzFeed has a lot of Tumblr rights working there, then it just spread, being like, "Oh my god, Ariel the surf, left the fucking ocean for a man. She's such a dumbass." Or shitting on Disney princesses for not being strong enough, even though 90s princesses were constantly going against the patriarchy. And even the classic type princesses, they simply weren't equipped because they're literally teenage abuse victims. What the fuck do you expect them to do? Like that shit pissed me off back then and it still pisses me off now because this is y'all's legacy. And then you're trying to destroy one of the few good things you were able to produce, which is chicken nugget. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So, I love using these curl brushes. That just cuts off so much labor I gotta do. I'm fine. Okay. Wait, Zivia, who's your favorite character um in Chicken Nugget? You don't think you had one? Let's see. Redraw a vector line. So let me save. Redraw a vector line. Ah, the long and arduous process that is deleting the control points. Okay. Move control point. Sorry for the strange silence. I'm locked in. Move. Okay. Save. Hmm. So what do I need to do? The ponytail? I'll put that in the back after I do the base colors. I'll do the clothing. I'll do the clothing. Bodysuit. And then we'll pray. And then I feel like I'll end it after. I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna do the line art for this picture. And then for the PFP. And then for my character sheet, we're only doing the line art for this album art. I need to stop overestimating myself, because who the fuck do I think I am? Hold on, I was taking a bite of a Cephidae. You know, I don't think it's normal to be violently bored. No, it happens, especially when it's hot outside. I guess, what do you want to happen? What kind of excitement are you looking for? Sorry, I was eating. But violent boredom, that is a thing. Especially happens with animals whenever they're trapped in their enclosure and they don't have much to do. Usually referred to as stereotypical behaviors. Connect. I don't know. I just feel bored and trying to stimulate, and over time, start to feel like I want to punch something or rip something apart. Okay, then maybe try something new or do something physical. It seems like you have physical energy that needs an outlet. Like, go stretch or do a Just Dance video. Save. Base. Let me sit up again. Ugh. See, I am working on my posture, Zivia. Aren't you proud of me? I like how I designed this whole damn outfit only to only draw just the tops of them. Isn't that wonderful? Actually, let me make the line art white so I can differentiate. Bum, 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 ba, ba, da, 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 hold you. Bum, bum, ba, da, da, ba, da. No, you'll be okay. You just got to get the energy out. Ugh. Come on, line work. Work with me. We're almost there. Don't start being stupid in the home stretch. I also need to figure out what to say. Ooh, speaking of ladies in distress, has anybody seen A Night of the Seven Kingdoms? I thought I think her name was like Tanzel Too Tall or something. She was the lady that Duncan Sir Duncan. I need to really get into that show because oh my god, it just sounds like everything that I want right now because I've been really into knights due to Curse of Strahd. Like earlier in the stream, I was talking about Curse of Strahd. And the reason why I'm really into knights right now is that I've fallen in love with one of the NPCs, which is Sergey, who's Strahd's little brother, who he sacrificed to the dark powers so he could become a vampire and fuck up the sun. And Sergey is a knight. And I've been like, ooh, it's so bad. Where I'm like downloading references so I can learn how to draw armor just so I could draw this bastard. Like that's how much I like him because I do not like drawing armor. Well, I can't even say that I strongly dislike drawing armor. It's just that I've never really been into it like that. Like I never gave a fuck. But now I give a fuck. Now I have fucks to give because I love this man. And I want to be able to draw his armor and Strahd because even though I fucking hate Strahd, I think I don't know, it would give me good practice to draw both of them. And also I won't exactly know what Sergey's armor looks like without knowing what Strahd's armor looks like to me personally. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Problem is I keep downloading references and not following through, so I need to be brave. I'm procrastinating. Da, 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 da. I love the soundtrack for No Straight Roads. I'm so excited for it to come out with the second game. I'm missing something. Earrings. Okay. Turn off the sketch. Okay, guys. We're almost there. Okay. Oh, I gotta invert it. I was like, why the hell isn't this filling? Okay. Color. Okay, we'll start here. We'll stop here. What time is it? I thought I was gonna go for 3 hours. but I kind of don't want to do that to myself. Give me a moment. So let me save this and then we'll go to chat. Okay, guys. So that's it for today. I feel like we made good progress regardless. Like, even though I didn't draw as much as I felt that I had in me, we still did a lot. So we are going to go ahead and embark and do a raid. Let's see who's streaming right now. Okay. We'll stream Bishy. Well, we'll raid Bishy, who is playing, I think, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Now, Bishy is for mature audiences. So if you're not into some of the more mature commentary and stuff, don't go. But we're going to go and say hi. And we're going to end it here. Until then, stay above the water.